Workforce Development in Madison, Wisconsin. And today I will be telling you a little bit about myself and about how I identify. I identify currently as Latina or Hispanic, depending on who I'm talking to. And I actually had this conversation not too long ago with a coworker, how we were doing some marketing stuff regarding how we would want our students to be represented as Hispanics. And we thought, should we call them Hispanic? Should we call them Latinos? Because that phrase itself is changing, and people are no longer using the word Hispanic. People are using the word Latin, Latinx, Latinos, and so for now, I still identify as a Hispanic person. I still identify as a Latino, or Latina in this case. And the first thing I want to get to, in a second, when I was making my PowerPoint, I was trying to think of ways I could relate to an audience or relate to how I can get this more entertaining. And so my question that I kept coming into my head was, who am I? I knew I was different from a very young age. At the age of 4, my mom taught me Spanish. Since the moment I started talking to the moment I started going to preschool, I was taught Spanish, and then my mom decided that, okay, you're gonna enter American school. You don't need to learn English from me. You can go just directly to an American school and learn English that way without having any knowledge of what terms to use to go to the bathroom, to eat, or anything. So there I was, the only Latina in my preschool class. I struggled for many years talking to my teachers, making friends because I didn't speak the language. And I'm gonna go on to this next one, which shows me. This is 4-year-old me. Again, I struggle talking. I talk a lot, as what I've been told by many people, but sometimes God knows what I was saying at the time, because then again, I would mix my languages up. And there was moments where I couldn't identify myself. I knew I was different. I knew that I couldn't relate to my classmates because they came from different cultures than I did. They did different things than I did. And my mother and I moved to Janesville in 2005. She was so proud. She had purchased her first home. She was a single mom with me, and we moved to Janesville, and I remember her face was so happy. We bought a 1970 trailer on Beloit Avenue, and she was proud of that thing. It may needed a fixer-upper 1 year there, but she was proud of it because she was able to provide something herself. She worked 2 jobs and able to maintain food on the table and a roof over her head. And she kept doing that. And you know, there were times where I couldn't do things like maybe go to a sleepover or go to a friend's birthday party because my mom had to work. And sometimes, yes, as a young age, that was frustrating because I wanted to be able to relate to other people and be able to not feel like a weirdo being a person being left out. And now that I'm older and I'm starting to recognize more that she made a lot of sacrifices for me. Going into elementary school here in Janesville, I felt like a cool person because I got to leave the classrooms during the day and nobody else did. Like I got to walk out and be like, hey, I get to leave the classroom, yeah, I get to work on some math problems. But really, because of my English, I would sit in front of a computer for an hour learning English through, guess what? Rosetta Stone. You know that program that older folks use to learn a new language? That's how I learned English, Rosetta Stone. It was a new form of, we were a new generation of students who, not many of them spoke our language. We were a lot of mixtures of Cambodian students and a lot of mixtures of Latinos. And there I kind of felt like I knew who I was, I knew I was different, but at the same time, where did I blend in? Where did I fit in? I felt like I wasn't Mexican enough for my Mexican friends, or I wasn't American enough for my American friends. And then going into middle school, I really questioned my identity because I started going to more ESL classes where we would take 2 English classes. I didn't know that was not a normal thing to take 2 English classes in middle school. And whenever I tried to identify with my Latino friends, I came from a very religious background. So we were limited from a lot of things. We couldn't do certain things that our Mexican culture had because oh, they're from the devil, they're from hell. And at that time, you know, I didn't really think of it much, but it really did back me off from my identity. So I kept getting confused. I'm like, what am I? Am I a Latina? Am I Mexican? Am I American? I don't fit in any of the groups. What really was a culture shock for me was when I entered high school. I went to Craig. Of my 405 graduating class, I was one of 5 Latinas that spoke Spanish, and we were first generation Americans. 405. That is huge. Now I'm sure there are more Latinos in high school, but when I was there, I didn't blend in with anyone. There was one other Latina that I could relate to, but she had her own friends and we never saw each other that much. So then I was like, you know, I don't want to fit in with the Americans, I don't fit in with the Latinos, and where do I fit in? Where do I belong? And I struggled with that for a couple years until I later went on to college. And, you know, before I go into my college story, college was always on my mind. College was always something I wanted to do. You know, everybody has that idea that going to college is a great thing. But my biggest worry for me about going to college was what was going to be asked of me from college and whether or not my mom was going to be able to make it on her own without me. Because I have to say that she's an undocumented immigrant. She's a person who came here. Like many other families who come here as a first generation, she didn't expect to stay for very long, and then I came along. She knew that staying here would give me a better life. And, you know, when I filled out my FAFSA, when I filled out all my paperwork and everything, you know, they ask you certain things that I was very hesitant about because those are things that I can't give that information because it could do something to my mom. You know, it could have her, it could just, it's just stuff that I couldn't even say. Like there are things that I cannot tell people because of what goes on in the background. And people won't understand that. And so, you know, I went with it and my mom said, you know, go ahead. I was the first person in my family to graduate high school. And then the first person to go to college. I came here at URock back in 2017 and I saw the Latinos. And I felt like I belonged. I found a group that actually accepted me for me, even though I had a lack of experience in being a Latina or Latino, but they helped me identify myself. They helped me figure out who I really was as a person. And so then we created the Latinos Unidos here in URock County, and I was so happy. To this day, I still talk to most of them who either came and left or they did graduate with me. But as many of us know, not everybody gets to make it to the finish line. Most of those people who I went to school with my first year had to sometimes drop out because of family reasons. I was fortunate enough that my mom and I just kept going. I took on 1 or 2 jobs, being able to make sure that she didn't have to pay a single penny out of her pocket so that I could go to college. And even though it's not a big 4-year university, I was so happy that I got to go to college. So then I graduated in 2019 with my associates here at URock County. I was my I was the happiest person that day when I graduated and walked that stage. I was so happy. And then I was finally thinking, okay, well, what do I want to do for the next 2 years at Whitewater? When I started to think about my identity as a Latina, I wanted to learn more. So I transferred to the main campus and I learned more about Latino culture. I learned about the history, the language, the different cultures that there are within Latino culture. And I fell in love with it. To this day, even now that I don't even go to school anymore, I still study about Latin culture and Latin history. I have a bunch of books about Aztec and Mayan civilizations, which fascinate me. And, you know, I got to learn more about my culture and more about the people who, you know, they're not so bad. And I started to fall in love with Latin music, especially like the music that my family grew up listening to. And I remember there's this specific band called Los Ángeles Azules. Yes. Los Ángeles Azules are a very big band that every generation knows. And I remember the first time I heard them and I said to my mom, I said, you know, one day when they come to this area, I'm gonna go. I found out that they were having their 40th anniversary tour in Milwaukee. I purchased 5 VIP tickets. because I wanted to go. I said, I want to make sure that I'm going. And I invited my family and we all went. It was the best day of our lives. And that part of me realized that, I'm very proud of where I come from. I'm very proud of like seeing everybody there and dancing and listening to all the music. And so, yeah, I continued the rest of my 2 years at Whitewater. And I graduated with my Bachelor's of Arts in International Studies of Latin America. I loved it so much that I studied that. And this is a picture of my sash. It has the purple colors for Whitewater as well as the Mexican patterns. And so I wanted to represent my culture and my people when I walked to the stage in December of 2021. To this day, I am very proud to be a Latina. I'm very proud to be part of a community that is very family-oriented, very hardworking, and always just, like we say in Spanish, echándole ganas. Keep it going, just putting hard work and effort into it. So now, what do I do now? Right now, I work at a Latino academy that focuses on giving those opportunities that Gina talked about to our Latino community. And so our mission is to strengthen our diverse communities by providing linguistically and culturally competent adult education programming that advances opportunities to ensure that individuals and families thrive socially, economically, and civilly. When I came to this academy, I didn't have really much of an idea of what they did until I continued working with them. I realized that they had so many opportunities for people that I wanted to continue doing that. And so here are some examples of what we do. We provide general education and workforce education and leadership. So for our general education, we provide Spanish GED. And that is a big thing for Latinos that come here to the US because most of them don't even finish high school. I know from experience, my mother didn't finish high school because she didn't have to. She went straight to work. And so we have students who are finishing their GED. And we also teach English as a second language because not all of them get that opportunity. We also teach digital literacy. Most of our students don't even know how to turn on a computer. It takes a lot of patience now for me that I have to teach them how to use a computer or open an email, but I love it. I still love it at the end. We teach financial education. We are partners with Associated Bank and UW Credit Union where we teach them how to do a budget. What's a credit? How do you open a bank account? And one thing I also want to mention is that we have a new program for our GED program where we're doing a 509 process. And that 509 process is instead of taking a course and then taking that exam, if they take the course for 3 months and do all the assignments and the attendance, they will pass within 12 months. I'm proud to say that my mom is part of that program right now. And in 9 to 10 months, if everything goes well, she will graduate with her GED. And, I gave her this opportunity because I said, I'm done with college, I'm done. I'm finished with my education, it's your turn. You focused most of your life for me, and I want to focus my life for you and pay back everything that you did for me. So I know for sure on the day of her graduation, I will be crying and bawling my eyes out. But it'll be one of my biggest accomplishments, and I know for sure it will be for her. In our workforce where I work, we have transportation, construction, manufacturing, information technology, and early childhood education. One of our biggest classes that we offer is CDL, commercial driving. And right now there's a big demand for commercial drivers. And we're becoming a certified school where we have a long waiting list of people who are interested in learning how to drive. Right now, this class is in English because our instructor is American, but he loves working with Latinos. And it's not just for Latinos, we also are opening it up to minorities such as Asian Americans as well as African Americans for this course. Our construction, we have a bilingual construction course where we partner with a construction company and they provide classes in both English and Spanish, which is OSHA 10, CPR, AED, and all those courses. And even basic knowledge in construction, really. Manufacturing, this is a new one that we just started with Madison College, where we are providing a bilingual manufacturing course, learning the instruments, learning how to use these instruments, and how to get a job with these instruments. Information technology is basically From the Hispanic Federation, we get funding for people to take online courses for free. And you all are eligible as well. If you want to learn how to do basic IT or basic project management, you can sign up. And for our early childhood education, this is also another popular one we get, is where if you wanted to open up a daycare, we are able to provide those resources for you to open one up. Whether it's starting just your business and then providing you those partnerships so that you can start it officially. And our leadership and wellness, we have women's development career, bilingual leadership, nutrition, and mindfulness, and mental health. We are big advocates of mental health. So we provide mental health resources for our students because a lot of things happen. Right now, currently, what I'm working with is the Women's Bilingual Leadership Group. And these are women who are in the workforce. And we meet once a month to talk about how their kids are doing, how their husbands are doing, how they're doing in work. And it gives them that kind of a stress relief that they get to talk to other women that can relate to them. And so that's what I like about this group, is that we meet once a month for coffee, or we meet once a month for pizza, and we just talk about how things are going. And a lot of them say, I keep doing this for my kids. I don't do it for myself, I do it for my kids. I moved to this country for my kids. So here are some pictures. Over here is our CDL truck driving student that we have. Right down below is our graduating class. So we do hold a graduation ceremony for our GED and CDL students. And so this is our graduating class. Up above is our elevation program that we just started with businesses. So local minority businesses got to learn how to make their businesses more sustainable. Learning how to use a solar panel, how to install one. What's the difference between HVAC and all these other products that will help the environment? They don't get those opportunities. And so when we got that opportunity to give that class, heck yeah, we got a lot of people signed up for that. Over here is my team. And so as you can tell, that I am, and then the rest of my team. There's only 9 of us in this organization. We're a brand new organization, and there's only 9 of us that manage over 200 students. And down below is one of the examples of our construction course where they get hands-on and they love it. So here is my contact information. And if anybody has any questions. Thank you. Yes.
2, any outreach into Rock County, but if you're only 9 months old, you're probably staying in Madison. And the other one is, what's the age group that you're looking to target?
All right, so the first question, we are currently in Dane County because most of the people in my organization are from Dane County. My goal is to reach Rock County. Eventually in the next 5 years, and I told this to my boss, who's the executive director. I said, I want us to go to Rock County as soon as possible. Right now we are working with Jefferson County to see if we can extend a little bit of our programs there. But eventually I'm gonna keep pushing for us to come to Rock County because I know a lot of our Hispanic populations would benefit from these programs, and I would want them to take advantage of that. And what was your second question, I'm sorry?
The age that you're targeting?
Okay. So for right now, we normally work with folks who are between the ages of 45 and 54. So those are parents. That's the average age that we work with. Our goal would be to work with younger folks, maybe first generation Americans, but we know that they're given a little bit more resources. So the resources that we have right now, we work with the adults that don't have that many resources. So we focus on the parents because they're the ones who have sacrificed a lot, and they want, as my boss would say, we're not looking for jobs for them. We're looking for careers, something that they can wake up in the morning and say, I enjoy what I do, and not have to do it because they need money to live off of. And that's what I always think about too. That's the mentality I think of, is like, I want to be able to give these people a career, not just a job. So yes, to answer your question, we work with folks who are parents between the ages of 45 and 54. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
How has your opinion of education changed from being a student to being an education provider?
let's see, from being a student to an education provider.
Because you were kind of on the outside and now you're in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I feel like we can do more for our students. Providing more mentorships for our students, as well as providing really, for the majority of what I know, is that financial support is the biggest problem. Most of us have to, like I said, most of my friends who came here had to drop out because of financial reasons. And if there was more financial help, I think there would be more students, Latinos, who would be at school. Also, even in high school, if there was more guidance in high school as to how to apply, or like kind of not pushing them, but kind of encouraging them to apply, to continue. Because there will be times where they feel like they won't make it. I did multiple times. I didn't think I would ever graduate because of, behind my head, I had to think about how I was gonna be able to help my mom put food on the table. COVID would hit us really hard too, because I couldn't qualify for federal aid and neither could she. But you know, that didn't stop us from finding different ways to get food or pay our rent. I mean, we tried, my mom had a hobby of selling candles, so that's what she did for some time. Or she would sell some sort of food that she would make. And so things like that, it's like we need more encouragement with financial support for our students, as well as just more of a push to help them continue on to their education and showing them how far they can get. If there was more examples of more Latinos that went to college, I think that would also make a big difference, that they can do it as well.
Cool. And as somebody who went to University of Wisconsin at Whitewater in Rock County, what was your favorite part?
Oh my gosh, I can name so many. Here at Rock County, I think I always tell people it was the best 2 years of my life. I got to open up to people. I got to meet new people. I got to realize what my identity really was. And that was a Latina. I was first generation, and I was proud. You know, coming here made me realize I was proud to be those things, because I am breaking barriers, as Gina has mentioned in her presentation. I'm breaking barriers. I'm making a difference in people's lives. I get to do work like this where I help more people to continue their education, to continue their work. So it's I always say it's thanks to Rock County that I've gotten as far as I did. I had a lot of support. I had a lot of people who helped me get through where I am today.